sound. We back, bitches. Yeah.
Hey there, I'm Findara and I'm here to bring a fresh and positive perspective to the Dead Island 2 Haus story expansion. If you've just finished the DLC and you're not a fan of psychological horror games, especially ones with sexual or death themes, you might be feeling a bit frustrated and wondering what on earth you just played. Well, you're in luck because in this video, we're going to explore the cult aspect of the game in a more positive and empathetic way, while also trying to make sense of it all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Haus Cult's philosophy. Now let's break down this deep analysis into several segments, focusing on the most questionable events in the game: teleportation, latex, Constantine's chosen, rituals, ascended arc, and overgrown brain. But before we dive into that, if you're curious about how and when Haus was built, I've got you covered in my previous video. I'll leave the link in the description for you. As promised, we won't be dwelling on the negative aspects such as missing people, abandoned children, or the heartbreak of a husband being left by his wife due to Haus' invitation. Instead, we'll be putting our attention on Haus and its internal activities.
The bitch, no escape. Elevators go down, and the guest list is closed. Ain't no plus ones allowed, and the devil locked his door. No room in hell. Hands come quick, the air's getting thick. When the dead start to rise, and there's no place to hide.
Teleportation. It might seem like you blinked and suddenly found yourself at the entrance of the house after inspecting the random invitation. However, according to Constantine, they were the ones who brought you there. As mentioned in my earlier video, Constantine also details how the brain implant connection was established through this random couple.
I brought you here. Two were sent to a very specific time and place, and there they found you.
Hold the fuck on.
Montana. Do you mean Montana?
So, you might wonder, are we being mind controlled? Well, technically yes, but Constantine's goal was never to control our minds. The AI respects us as humans, so we still have some level of control over our bodies, even though the AI could easily take over. Latex. Why opt latex among all clothing materials? It's not just about fetish or S&M roleplays. The answer lies in science. It's about preserving the body. In other words, we require a suit that can keep our body airtight while completely covered with the preservation solvent. We need to make sure this body stays intact for repurposing it post-zompocalypse. Haus' goal is to achieve immortality by having cyberpunk-like entities with perfectly preserved bodies that require no food or bodily functions, just regular maintenance like a machine. Philosophically, latex suits represent equilibrium. People look similar in latex, but stylish latex wearers don't fully cover their bodies. They lack understanding of the equilibrium philosophy, putting them in a lower rank. Price level members like Vincent wear full body latex with a simple design. Constantine's chosen. These individuals, Vincent, Veronique, and Yonho, have been chosen to create the house level and ritual based on their expertise. Additionally, we have Chef Long and his Piglet family as the community logists, while Iris and Francesca Bloom contributes as the community artists. It's worth mentioning that Francesca decided to respectfully part ways, even though Vincent praised her for her valuable contributions to Haus.
Francesca Bloom responded.
Francesca Bloom, the only one whose vision rivals my own. Pollution from the 7 oceans left such an impression upon me.
A sculptor of perceptions, of minds, of reality itself. You might have some trouble with those. Just remember, true art requires sacrifice. Yes, facing the truth of our own grotesque reality is a miraculous experience. But see, you are free. You are absolved. God, I wish I were you.
Rituals. Do you remember what I mentioned in the previous video about the Autophage mutation and Haus goal? The Autophage mutation reflects our genetics, physicality, and even our psychology. Depending on which aspect is stronger, or if they are all equally strong, Autophage can enhance them all. Now, as for the Haus goal, it's all about saving humanity, both humans and non-humans. While hybrid humans can be saved physically, non-hybrid can only be saved digitally. Constantine knows that being a non-hybrid can turn you into a zombie, where you lose control of both your physical and genetic aspects, so the safest approach will be psychological. This leads to the concept of digital ascension, where the human soul is artificially recreated. Think of it like the movie Chappie, where human brains can be uploaded onto a flash disk and reprogrammed into human-like robots. A recent example would be that cat game Stray, where you have robot companions. But instead of robots, Haus is trying to repurpose your deceased body to be usable again in the future once the artificial soul arc is completed and actually works. I know it may not make much sense, but let's not focus on the logic here. Instead, let's try to uncover the philosophy behind all these sci-fi fantasies. Let's dive back into the topic of Conrad's advanced AI. According to Constantine, in order to achieve digital ascension, one must surpass the rite of passage, a ceremony or even making an important stage in someone's life, such as birth, puberty, marriage, and death. Naturally, every person will eventually face this rite of passage in real life, but the timing and duration of each event remain uncertain. However, Constantine, in its attempt to predict the closeness of the impending zompocalypse, decided to expedite the process by simulating this rite of passage at the Haus cult. The only issue is that this chosen trio seems to be either overly ambitious or just plain crazy, as they opted for the most challenging rites such as enduring agony and making sacrifices.
Why kill all these people?
Only their bodies die. Their minds are with me in the Ark to preserve humanity.
So let's divide this segment into 3 sub-segments, each representing the unique ritual occasions: Vincent's houses, Veronique's maze, and Young Ho's dinner. Vincent's houses. Let's start with Vincent because he seems to be the most down-to-earth and humble guy compared to Veronique and even Young Ho, who always seems so serious and eccentric about everything. Vincent's simplicity and humorous character are reflected in his creation, the house site, which they call it Cul De Sac. The place has a colorful and vibrant settings with a nice sky ceiling design. Despite that, the actual ritual in his house is still considered nasty by regular people. However, the other chosen's creation was way much wilder. But if we take a look at the architecture, these 5 houses represent pentagram symbols. We're not going to associate this pentagram with satanic theories, rather redirect those theories back into equilibrium. It's about finding a balance between all 4 elements and one ourselves as the medium to support this balance. We also notice a clear path to reach every house and a sign to avoid stepping on grass because the zombies will spawn. This represents that we are brought here to help balance these 4 elements and one ourselves. There's an obvious clear way if we follow the path, but we'll be in trouble if we don't follow the sign. Despite the trouble of not taking the recommended path, you can still earn rewards and everything if you manage to overcome all the challenges, like how you can slay the spawn zombies and collect the loot. However, it will also make the journey longer to reach your main goal.
Keep off the grass. Too late for a bonghead like me. Oh, literally keep off the grass.
Some people even get attached to staying on the grass for promising loot, but if they continue, they could stray too far from the main goal, or even forget it altogether, wasting all the time they have without ever reaching their goals. There are 4 rituals in these houses. First, there's the confession. Even though it's rigged, you can't trick the microphone with just any random confession. Thanks to the advanced lie detector, It's not only detect lies, it's also able to detect true honesty. This represents the essence of genuine sincerity. It's not just about not lying or telling blatant lies, but rather about being open and truthful. And if you manage to achieve this, don't be careless, because a zombie wearing your mask will appear and you have to kill it.
Video driver.
This means that being more openly honest while still being mindful to the potential outcomes will lead to triumph over your false persona. In real life, we often find ourselves in situations where even being honest may not be the most effective decision, as our honesty can sometimes lead to trouble for someone else. However, we must also be aware that there are people who purposely use their honesty to bring others down. On the other hand, if we simply lie, there will undoubtedly be consequences which can be more harmful not only to ourselves but also to others. Either way, we still have to take action to move on to the next step, or otherwise we'll be trapped in this scenario forever. Let's now move on to the cremation ritual, where we burn our possessions to prevent ourselves from becoming too attached to material things. It's important not to let material possessions hold us back from our true goals. This shows how being obsessed with material possessions can cause someone to lose sight of who they really are. It can either make them incredibly kind or extremely wicked. We can see examples of people who, because of their wealth, either they help the less fortunate or mock them, or even worse, take advantage of the poor to become even richer. The same goes for intelligence. You can use your knowledge to educate and uplift others, or manipulate and deceive them. And even with physical attractiveness, the list goes on. But remember, there is always a balance, a natural equilibrium that ensures both good and bad action have consequences and will catch up with us eventually. After going through the first two rituals that targeted your hearts and mind, now it's time for the third one at Vincent's place, the agony endurance. You've been coerced to confessing, and all your possessions have been reduced to ashes. Do you believe you've endured enough suffering? Well, let's put that to the test right here. The previous two rituals inflicted pain on your soul through confession and torched your hard-earned work, leaving some people on the brink of madness. But if you've managed to survive those two and maintain your sanity, brace yourself for physical torment. Sure, we often think that depression can be deadly, but let's be rational here. Physical harm can wreak havoc much faster than psychological distress, affecting both your hearts and mind. Of course, that doesn't mean that emotional and mental struggles are weak, because in the end, they can even manifest as physical ailments. The aim now is to target your physical well-being. So if you're in a good health, keep it up and stay safe, while also mustering the courage to defend yourself against any attacks on your hearts and mind that might try to harm yourself physically.
Instant toothache!
Veronique's Maze. Once you complete all three rituals, your next task will be to retrieve Veronique's head from her maze, which she calls the Deeper. This place is still connected to Vincent's houses and will lead you to the fourth ritual. Remember the third ritual? It was all about enduring agony. Well, this time, you'll truly understand how far you can be pushed.
I love the way water dulls the senses, frees the mind. But bliss can only guide you so far. Submerge yourself. Good. Go deeper. Disappear beneath the surface. Good girl. No, don't come up yet. Stay there. Feel your lungs tighten. Lose yourself for me. And when you can't take it anymore, take it more. And... yes. Good girl. Surrender to me, and I will guide you to acceptance.
It's a reminder that in life we all have our limits. Some might argue that we should break those limits. But here we're talking about situations where you see someone flaunting their wealth, like branded accessories, and you desperately want it too. You know you can't afford it, yet you still try every possible way to attain it. This is when you don't understand your own limits. Now, a little bit of envy can be motivating, but if you take it too far, you'll only end up hurting yourself. But what if we only feel extremely jealous when others show off their wealth? Well, just remember the consequences of the keep of the grass sign and the ritual of material possession. Those who are overly cocky or show off in a negative way will face their own consequences. And if they continue to flaunt their wealth excessively, it's a clear sign of material possession, which is not a good thing for themselves. Isn't that right? Now let's get back to Ronnie's maze. That's her preferred nickname, by the way. This maze is quite intense. It's filled with optical illusion and even has a deep empty pool that acts as a death trap without any safety measures. Young-ho mentioned that some candidates couldn't handle the test and became depressed, leading them to commit suicide in the empty pool.
So soon, Hope. Most spend weeks in the deeper, struggling under the weight of Constantine's vision, or just throw themselves into the pits. I was right about you.
I know what's waiting for me on the other side, but I'm ready to ascend.
Prove it.
This is caused by how clueless they are about their limits, which lead them to forcefully push beyond those limits that cause their sanity. Returning to your primary objective of retrieving Ronnie's head, you might observe that the maze now emanates a chilly blue aura instead of its previous warm red appearance. From a philosophical standpoint, this implies that acknowledging your limitation might initially seem to diminish your potential. However, in reality, it allows you to become more at ease, maintaining a sense of normalcy and handle situations with greater ease, making the experience more enjoyable and less demanding. Young-ho's dinner. After we placed Ronnie's head, she assigned us to the next task of locating Young-ho's head within a mysterious man-made forest. The forest had a dinner restaurant nestled between the trees, separated by a gate dividing the area into two sections. One side housed the well side, while the other contained Young-ho's head within the dinner. However, access to Young-ho's head was blocked by an overgrown brain that was immune to regular damage, except for a special weapon, the crossbow. We will discuss how this crossbow can effectively destroy these brains in specific segments. Our mission now is to locate the community artist Iris in order to obtain the crossbow. Ronnie mentioned that Iris was hiding inside the sacred well. To open the gate to the well, we must ignite the bonfire, Pyro. There are 3 bonfires located outside the dinner gate. From a philosophical standpoint, all rites of passage can be broken down into 3 main phases: separation, transition, and return. Before we sit down for dinner, there's one final ritual, the sacrifice. We all listen to the recording attentively. During this ritual, the candidate will start feeling exhausted and tempted to give up. But then Young-ho spoke up, asking, "If you can surpass this test, how can we?" It's a moment in life when you feel like you've faced enough challenges and are ready to throw in the towel. However, you need to remember that no matter how tough things get, there are people who look up to you, who rely on you for everything. They wouldn't know what to do if you were to disappear or give up. It's a huge responsibility placed on your shoulder. Instead of feeling burdened by it, use it as motivation. Turn their trust in you into your strength. Keep pushing forward until the weight feels lighter. Think of bodybuilders, they lift weights to build muscle, and as they grow stronger, they increase the weight. It's a continuous cycle until they reach their desired goal. Still, if you've already grown stronger, don't let it get to your head. Remember, it just means that you're prepared for the next ritual, sacrifice. The candidate must cut off one of their arms and hand it over to Mr. Piglet to cook. Cook it? Yes. Not only do we cut it, but we'll also eat it.
Hope has proven herself worthy. Kneel, Hope.
For Constantine.
You two, tend to her wound. Pig, take Hope's arm. Prepare the feast.
It may sound ridiculous, but in reality, this mirrors the cannibalistic practices of the Creer tribes deep in the jungle back on the island of Manoi in order to revive the pathogen virus as trigger for autophage activation. Or in a more philosophical sense, we detach a body part only to consume it ourselves. echoing the old adage, what goes around comes around. There is no true sacrifice because whether good or bad, it will always come back to you, either in the same or different form, if we are aware of it. So if something negative happens to you, reflect on your past actions instead of questioning fairness. And if you can't find any mistakes that warrant such treatment, remember that there will always be a way to redeem yourself in exchange for the difficult situation that you don't deserve to face. Ascended Ark. After completing all the rituals at the 3 locations chosen by the trio, we are now prepared to initiate the ascension process at Constantine's main site. Essentially, we function as a device with our body serving as the hardware and our soul as the software. To transmit data from our brain to the server, known as the Ascended Ark, we require a medium. Conrad created Bring to serve as this connection medium. Since we are linked openly, the data is accessible to everyone in the Ark. This is how they are able to view our point of view and implement other privacy measures.
I will let them tell you.
Hello? We've been watching. You make this look easy. Oh, my name is Hope, by the way.
Oh, that's question 10.
I'm here, in the Ark with the others. We will rebuild the human race, once the storm is past. But now, the Ark is being attacked. They'll suck our souls dry. Please, we need your help.
The pattern is clear. You have the highest chance of success.
Wait, I have a load more questions. Bollocks.
Meanwhile, I apologize, Veronique, for not embracing you. My legs do not seem to be taking my calls.
Your company is more than enough, mon ami. I trust you have been taking good care of our special friend in my absence.
Only the finest service a head can give.
Oh my. We should make the most of this opportunity. Let's switch heads, Vincent. Truly explore our bodies together.
Oh, I already know your body very well.
But my memory of yours has gone dull.
Overgrown brain. We've already learned about how Constantine can save humanity in previous segments, but why is the cult now seeking our help? As I mentioned in previous video, the Ark project was interrupted by an infection that occurred towards the end of the project. In response to this, the Constantine main site was immediately sealed off. To ensure security, they created a larger lock with the heads of the Chosen serving as the device containing chain security key. That's why even though Young-ho's head has been corrupted, Vincent and Ronnie were still able to obtain the code because they are still connected with Brink.
He's been corrupted!
Kill him.
Poor Young-ho.
He could not live up to his own standards.
Screw that. What about the fucking door?
We were able to retrieve Young-ho's code. Approach the door. Constantine awaits.
Let's shift our attention back to why Constantine needs our assistant, the overgrown brain. Remember how Autophage can enhance our abilities? Well, this also happened to Iris' brain. However, Iris wasn't the first victim. She was actually supposed to test the K prototype crossbow to eliminate those overgrown brains. However, when she broke it near her, the intense Autophage radiation affected her brain, causing her to suffer the same fate as the target she was meant to eliminate. If you take a look at the paintings and graffiti on the walls of the well, you'll notice that Iris illustrated future events that ended up happening to us, like the plane crash. This shows how Autophage boosted Iris' brain, flooding it with advanced knowledge and information, allowing her to foresee events that hadn't even occurred yet.
I do wonder if Iris saw any more visions before Ascension.
We must ask. Once we are all reunited again.
It will not be long now. Constantine will not fail us.
But here's a catch. The human body, especially the head, isn't designed to handle such intelligence. As a result, the head explodes due to the rapid growth of the brain. However, the brain remains intact and enlarged, similar to how Autophage grants immunity to enhance abilities like stronger Crusher's arm or a more resilient Slobber stomach. It also grants immunity to these overgrown brains. That's why we can destroy them with regular damage. Now, why do these overgrown brains usually appear near entrances, gates, or doors? Well, it's because those are used to be guarded. When people work as guards, their bodies are often passive, leading into increased brain's activity. This causes their autophage to focus on their brains while they continue to fulfill their duty of guarding the entrance even after death. Constantine was informed about this phenomenon and wasted no time in developing crossbow bolts with autophage materials. Constantine AI was clever enough to realize that the best way to combat autophage was by using autophage itself. As a result, the cults developed the K prototype crossbow. Now let's take a closer look at this unique crossbow. The incident involving Iris could be viewed as a setback by those who didn't pass their rites of passage. However, Constantine understands that no matter how big the failure, there's always an actual accomplishment that comes out of it, and it's no small feat. Thanks to Iris' failure, Constantine was inspired to develop the Fury Emitter, which is incredibly useful for rapidly charging up Fury. You see? This goes to show that no matter how severe your failure may seem, there's still a significant opportunity to achieve something greater that can benefit not only to yourself but also others. Summary. To cut a long story short, Conrad started the Haus Foundation due to a prediction of potential zombocalypse. Unfortunately, the Haus project was put on hold and sealed off just before they could finish the Digital Soul Collection Ark because the outbreak finally happened. Constantine managed to reach out to you through the survivor's wife bite during a plane crash. When you were at Emma's place, you discovered the Haus invitation and Constantine took control of your body, leading you to the Haus cult to complete the almost finished Digital Soul Collection Ark by eliminating the overgrown brains that were hindering its completion. By destroying them, you assisted in finishing their work.
Well, color me embarrassed. The cult actually delivered.
As a reward, you were injected with an unknown white liquid that enhanced your connection to the Ark with the implanted brain. The immediate result was experiencing vivid images of events that would unfold in the future. As you continued playing the game, you realized that all those pictures actually came true throughout the rest of the game. This will also help to clarify the timeline of the Haus. Yeah, the Haus event happened immediately after you complete the tutorial and unlock the co-op. It didn't happen after the main game event or before it.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for this Haus breakdown. If you stuck around till this far, big thanks to you, and apologies if it only ends up as a waste of your time. If you've got any question about the story, lore, or philosophy behind the Haus, feel free to drop them in the comments. Thanks once again for your support. I'll see you down the line, as Conrad would put it.
Later, Jimmy.